Hey, everybody. Quick thumbs up in the comments if you guys can hear me. We got people in Scotland and New Zealand, and I heard it's raining in New Zealand. Sorry about that. Evening all. So I assume you can hear me. So we have a huge Q&A to go through today. So what I do every week is I take all your top questions, mostly from Patreon, and answer them and try to stitch together a very interesting tapestry that's relevant for everybody. But before I jump in, I know a lot of you are frustrated and upset right now. It's been 6 or 7 weeks of flatness and volatility within Bitcoin and the crypto world. But again, just if in doubt, zoom out. The future is extremely bright. And this, the Bitcoin at least, is the hardest asset that the world will ever know. And I'll talk about some of my future projections for Bitcoin as well in the year 2050, believe it or not, which is kind of crazy. But listen, for those of you who did get in and bought at the high, I know some of you are out there at probably 10% of people in this audience, could be as high as that, bought at the high or bought ETH above 4,000. Just if you can, I know it's hard, try average down, don't give up faith, and just wait, hold, because again, every day I get more and more bullish about everything. The other thing I want to share with you all, scammers are everywhere. People, imposters, starting up fake Facebook sites, Instagram pages, Twitter accounts, reaching out to people. I don't have time to reach out to anybody. I would never share my phone number. I got way too much to do. Just please be careful. Every week, at least 3 people write to me after they got scammed. You know, things like SIM card swaps. Make sure you have your 2-factor authentication signed up. And I'm going to do a video next week on kind of what you can do to make yourself secure, because a very good person lost 60% of their holdings. And the only reason they have anything left is because they had some holdings on Robinhood, and you can't download your crypto from Robinhood. So every cloud has a silver lining. So everybody just be careful. Okay, let's start at the very beginning. RJG had a cool question. Bullish news expected for Telcoin this week. Thank you, AK. RJG had a great question about Bitcoin predictions. That I always do a lot of predictions going out 10 years. But where do you see Bitcoin in 30 years from now? So basically, this is a great question, and I love questions that have a lot of numbers. But when I look at things like Bitcoin, and the reason I like 2030 is it's very easy to estimate 5 years out. It's harder 10 years out. 30 years is impossible. But I can tell you a few things. First of all, the daily issuance of Bitcoin will be 7 Bitcoin a day. Uh, that'll be about 2,500 Bitcoins a year. So not very much. The human population will be about 10 billion people. There will be less than 14 million coins because people are careless and lose them all. And I believe 60% will be owned by sovereigns and treasuries, and whole coiners will be extremely rare. It'll be 1 in 500,000 people will be a whole coiner. And that's why I kind of urge people to try and achieve that goal if they can, because you will be a super rich person in the future if you have a whole coin. So remember as well, when we talk about future estimations of price, they are currently denominated in US dollars. But I reckon by the year 2050, Bitcoin could easily be close to, who knows, maybe even as high as $1 billion. It sounds stupid to say that, but you have to understand that the denominator is deflating rapidly. That's why Bitcoin can go up to these crazy numbers very quickly. The other thing as well I'd like you to all to remember is, don't think in terms of dollars. Think in terms of what things will cost in a Satoshi. And I believe in the year 2050, one coffee will be 10 sats. So that means one Bitcoin could potentially buy you 10 million coffees. Just to shake things up and put things in perspective. Think about that, everybody. Okay, second question. Hilmar, if Bitcoin USD will hit, say, $500,000 per coin and fiat crashes or collapses, what will we sell Bitcoin for if there is no fiat collapsing? And that's a very good question. But basically, today, people already hold Bitcoin and they can already make purchases with it. Companies like Starbucks, speaking of coffee again, they accept Bitcoin through certain apps, and many other vendors already do as well. And I think it's only a matter of time before Elon Musk flicks the switch and starts accepting Bitcoin for Teslas once more. But remember, don't buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, buy it with fiat. And also, there's other things like the Lightning Network and Strike that are really accelerating the ability to use Bitcoin as a currency. So that's all coming. There was also a big news release as well from Jack Dorsey about their Lightning capabilities, and that'll soon be on Twitter. Cool question. Thank you, Hilmar. Third question, Bob W. I'm 74. How should I use my Bitcoin stack in the future, given my age, no kids, etc.? So, number one, Bob, thank you for this note. So proud of you having Bitcoin. First of all, stay healthy. Number one mission you have for me is to stay healthy. Number two, wait for the price to rise. And then number three, live a little. Borrow against your crypto. I have a cool meeting hopefully coming up next week with the CEO of Celsius. There was some stuff going on Twitter this morning. And find a way to pull out some of your savings, borrow against your crypto, but no more than 25% loan to value. And congratulations again. Live long and prosper, but stay healthy. Most important thing. But remember, do live. Don't save all your money. Now is the time to start reaping the rewards of your beautiful life. So, Carl J., question number 4. With Monero being fungible like cash, why is Bitcoin preferred over Monero? The price of an individual Monero coin cannot be affected according to what it's being used for example, criminal activities. Why would Monero not be the preferred coin over Bitcoin? So, very good question. And first of all, I see Monero as having a few challenges. One of the reasons I haven't analyzed it is because the mining is not decentralized. There are no phone wallets. It's not widely accepted. It's hard to develop on their framework. There's no merchant adoption. There are geographic limitations. And there's no chance of institutional investment. Therefore, there's no big upside. So that's why I don't invest in Monero. And also, I believe that privacy needs to be at the base layer. And there's only one Bitcoin. So I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, but I'd definitely prefer Bitcoin over Monero. So big thank you for that question. I had a question come up in the chat as well from Chris Griffiths. And by the way, all these contributions go towards the animals. Thank you so much for that. Would you buy one whole Bitcoin, or would you build a diverse portfolio to the same value amount? You could do that, but your risk is much higher in building a diverse portfolio. And K Bingo, I can hold MicroStrategy in a tax-free wrapper UK ISA, which is like an IRA in the USA. Given this, should I bother with raw Bitcoin, which I have to pay tax on? Interesting question. It depends on your tax bracket, but I believe everybody should hold some Bitcoin, and you're not holding it to trade it, so you won't be incurring taxes. But your MicroStrategy, you can hold in your tax-free wrapper. I say get a piece of both and ride that train. And when Bitcoin tops out, that's when you can offload your MicroStrategy, but always hold your Bitcoin. So thank you for that question. So let me see. Back to the question list. We have Christopher R. I nearly said your last name. Keep things anonymous here. If you could change one thing about crypto, what would it be? Very good question. Well, first of all, if it was Bitcoin, nothing. I do believe Bitcoin is perfectly engineered. And the more you dig into it and you really understand the vision that Satoshi Nakamoto had 12 years ago and what he built, is mind-blowing. It is almost perfect. There's nothing I'd change there. Regarding other cryptos, because your question was change about crypto, I wish there was a little less number of tokens. I wish there was a little less Wild West out there. I wish there were fewer scam coins that are hurting retail investors. So that's why I urge everybody to be very careful in what you invest in. My old adage is invest in a crypto like you're going to get married to it. So do your due diligence and really be very careful. So Ben W., next question. Longtime Bitcoin holder and share the same bullishness on the asset as yourself. But I'm looking to sell some Bitcoin and buy back in right away just to lock in some capital losses this year for tax purposes. Interesting. Yes. So basically, yes, Bitcoin losses are Bitcoin is treated as property, and therefore losses that you incur are not like equity. So according to financial advisors, there are two benefits typically to crypto investors. Number one, you can sell it quickly for a loss, but make sure you remember to get back in fast just in case the price skyrockets. Or if you're a very confident trader, maybe you can sell at 33K and buy back in at 31K, who knows? And also, you can eliminate your capital gains on any winning investments. For example, if you invest in the trade desk trade that we did on Patreon. So yeah, check that out. But I'm not a tax advisor, so please check with your accountant just in case. And tax law is changing very rapidly in this whole crypto space. So, who knows what could happen. And I know that governments are looking for money from taxpayers to be able to pay off all of the money printing that they're doing. So be careful of that too. So Mackenzie, is Bitcoin really going to drop to $16,000 to $22,000? And if that happens, what would the lowest price for Ethereum and Solana be? So first of all, no, I don't see Bitcoin going to $16,000 or $22,000. And I've looked at tons of my charts and support lines and Fibonacci retracements and comparing the performance over multi-year cycles. And I think the max floor that we could ever wick down to would be 26,500 type of range. But if we do hit that, I guarantee it'll only be there for minutes. So if anybody's thinking of placing a wick buy limit order, try 27,000 and change. But I think it's unlikely we get to 26.5. I mean, we now have a quadruple bottom around that 30,000 level. So it's a very, very strong support, it appears. Now, that being said, regarding Ethereum and Solana, I believe if Bitcoin did go to 26.5, both of these would take a 25% haircut. So theoretically, Ethereum could wick down to about $1,400 and Solana back down to $18 to $20 where it was a few weeks ago. But the narrative for things like Solana are extremely bullish right now, as I made in a post last night. So thank you for your question. This next question is from Clansman. Thank you so much. Hi, James. Is the 4-year Bitcoin cycle broken with institutions coming in? And if so, how does this affect your crypto retirement forecast from a price timeline perspective? Many thanks. I like this question. I like this a lot. And I've been talking about how this time around the cycle is so different. We have more adoption. We have more derivatives. We have more hodlers. We have treasuries in the mix. We have high net worth individuals. We have hedge funds. The list goes on and on. Now we have El Salvador, which I didn't see happening for at least another 2 or 3 years. I mean, the pace of adoption is about to explode. And that means, basically, with all of this new investment, it means retracements will no longer be the 85% retracements of the past. I think we'll have a max of 50% retracement. Now, also, because of all this new money and because of what's just happened during the summer of the, call it 8 weeks we've lost, I believe that's pushed out the bull market to maybe November, December, perhaps into 2022. So depending on how long more we are here in these kind of doldrums, we'll see what happens. Now, putting some numbers on that, I believe if we will go to $100,000 at the top of this bull cycle, but I don't know if that's going to be January or December or Christmas Day, who knows. But if we do go to 100 grand, the new floor will be about 50,000. And if we go to 200,000, the new floor will be 100,000. So again, I see the retracement going back to about 50%, and I see the cycle being stretched out longer. So really good question, Clansman. That's my view of the world today. But remember, keep your dancing shoes on because everything changes all the time. So this question is from Chris. Hi, James. I've been thinking about El Salvador $30 handout. So have I. In fact, Saturday morning, I made a tweet on my estimation for the impact of that on Bitcoin price, which might be disappointing to some, but there are the numbers. So have the population been educated about Bitcoin and its volatility? Question mark. And $30 could be worth $20 in a few days or weeks later. Could turn a positive mood into a negative one. Maybe I'm overthinking this. So Chris, really, really good question. Interesting angles, and I like the way you're thinking. But just think about the Mexican peso in 1981. You could get 20 Mexican pesos for $1. Guess how many you get today? 20,000. That's 1,000 factor debasement of the currency. So people in Latin American countries, they're used to inflation, hyperinflation, currency debasement, etc. Also, think about the US dollar nonsensical printing of 40% of the money supply over the last year. It's basically will ultimately guarantee a 40% debasement of the US dollar. So having, giving somebody $30 of Bitcoin for free and that going down to $20, not a big concern for these people or anybody right now. And also, I envision a world where people will start valuing things in terms of Satoshis, like I mentioned at the beginning, like in the year 2050, it might only cost 20 sats for a coffee. Now, in this world, in El Salvador, I believe as well, people will start gearing their heads around what things cost in that currency, and they'll quickly learn, okay, a goat is this, a hotel room is this, a car is this, and they'll quantify everything in Satoshis and distance themselves from the assets. I also believe people will want to receive the harder asset and not the weak fiat currency, especially with some words that were mentioned by a Mexican leader today. So, great question. I love the way you're thinking. This is from Alex S. On the trade desk synthetic long trade I did, when you added the $90 call, that is when I shorted the $90 call, is your strategy to sell out of the money calls against the $50 spread a couple of months ago or greater? I think in the end you turned the synthetic long into a poor man's covered call with a put. So great question. I made a detailed video on what the trade was and what the trade did over the last 6 weeks and how it made above more than 1,000% in 6 weeks. But what I did was basically enter the trade pre-split, 10-for-1 split, and the idea was to sell a put to pay for the call, and then basically that position cost about $13. When I sold the $90 calls against my synthetic long, that was just because I saw a top and the pricing of the option was extremely high because the volatility of the trade desk basically exploding for the 2 days previous. And I found somebody to buy my option at my price. Now, it's a $90 strike. I sold it for $16.50, so I can ride it up to $110. And if it does blast above $110 a share, which in old money would be $1,100 a share for the trading desk, and that's way beyond the 52-week expectation I have for the stock, I will do a roll-up. So I'll buy the existing callback and sell a 110 or 120 out. So that's what I typically do. So thank you for the question. But in the meantime, I expect the trade desk to fall down a little bit, the volatility to fall, and therefore the options prices to fall, and then I'll buy them back and then wait for a next bounce. So thank you for that question. Jeffrey O, what do you think the odds are of any other altcoin, for example, Cardano, mainly Cardano, to dominate Ethereum? So very good question. A lot of people think Cardano is the ETH killer. I think it's extremely low. And I cannot emphasize the importance of being kind of a first mover advantage in this space and the network effect. And based on fundamentals and adoption and how Ethereum runs a lot of DeFi right now, I believe the intrinsic value of Ethereum is somewhere between $10,000 and $32,000 a token because of the adoption. And look at all the players that have built on it. And that's not going away. And then we have EIP 1559 and Ethereum 2.0 that are going to make it much more deflationary, much more scalable, much more widely adopted. And I wouldn't want to be a traditional bank right now because, you know, DeFi basically runs off Ethereum. And even Goldman Sachs, I think they came out and said Ethereum is going to probably be worth more than potentially Bitcoin in the future. So we'll see what happens. I think as well, Goldman Sachs mentioned that Ethereum could also be considered a store of value. So we'll see. Again, I don't think Cardano has a chance in dethroning Ethereum whatsoever. So, good question. And there's another related question to Cardano later when I talk about China. So let's keep on going. So at TFC, what do you think of the crypto index funds such as Crypto 20? Is it better just to buy the actual cryptocurrency instead? Thanks. It sure is. I don't buy funds because typically if you have a basket of funds like, I don't know, your typical ETF could have 60 holdings. This crypto holding has 20. But what's two things that are really bizarre about this Crypto 20 fund? First of all, the majority of the holding is Dogecoin at 11.3%. The only thing bigger than Dogecoin is Ethereum. I think it's 11.7%. Bitcoin weighting is only 10.4%. I mean, who put these weightings together? Are they, I don't know. I have serious questions for them. The second issue is not only are the balances completely off and not reflective of where you want to go, it's very speculative, which is bad. Second of all, in the top 20, you've got garbage like Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, and other silly stuff like Doge. No offense to any Doge lovers out there, but that's just my take. So your 20 holds a bunch of garbage, and the skews are all off. So I would buy the select names that are there. And there are some very good names in there. It has all the stuff that I have, your Polkadots, your Solanas, etc. So I just pull out the best pieces and build your weighting appropriately as well. So Ron M, how does BTC USD shorts impact the price of Bitcoin? Should we pay attention to it? Yes, we should. I watch it like a hawk. In fact, I made a posting on it late last night within Patreon on how the Bitcoin shorts were racing to cover their short positions. And what does that mean? Yes, it's an extremely bullish sign. When these guys, within the space of 24 hours, cover, which means buy back all of their short option positions, is hugely bullish because the people that typically get into these large contracts on average are smarter than the average bear and they see something coming. So again, I watch this like a hawk. It gives me an idea of where Bitcoin's going over the next week or two. Also, whether positive or negative. So I do watch that. I also watch the Ethereum equivalent too. So thank you for that question, Ron. Next question is from Harry Burrell. With the introduction of the digital yuan, many African countries in debt to China and considering Cardano is targeting Africa, do you think Cardano will be in trouble? This is brilliant. So yes, a couple of things to say about Cardano, and one of the reasons why I am in a much bigger position on things like Solana than Cardano is they're going after the kind of unbanked in Africa. And that's a very noble cause, and I'm very supportive of that. But if you look at things like the bilateral trade agreements that are between China and the 40 countries in the continent of Africa, I think in the year 2000, the total trade was about 10 billion. Today, it's a quarter of a trillion. It's gone up 25x in a very short window. It may even be a lot higher than that. Who knows? But basically, China has gone there for the precious soils, precious metals, oil, gas, whatever they get their hands on. So now a huge proportion of Africa is beholden to China, and China will strong arm these African countries into using their central bank digital currency, their digital yuan, or lose the business. The people in Africa, the traders, will have no choice. So that's it. So I think with Cardano going after the unbanked, and the digital yuan will go after the people that control all the trade, therefore control all the money, it doesn't bode well for Cardano. Just my 2 cents. I could be completely wrong. I'm sure Charles Hoskinson has a completely different take on it. Thank you for the brilliant question. And related to that, Ben T had a very similar question with respect to China turning its back on Bitcoin in favor of its own digital yuan. Is the US federal government more likely to embrace Bitcoin to create a digital dollar, both or neither? So I see what's happening now in the world is there's a nuclear arms race to build their own central bank digital currencies. Governments want control, and one of the probably the best way to do it is through a digital currency. And China made the killer first move, very clever chess play, and they know what they want to do, and they are executing perfectly. Governments want control. Very simple. All countries will want a central bank digital currency because the level of control then you have over the populace is second to none. For example, if you break the law, as sometimes I give my speeding ticket example, they can penalize you or fine you at the flick of a switch. You can't even defend yourself. Boom. And I see the US Fed going down the same path of the CBDC route, especially with the money printing and move towards things like universal basic income and all that type of stuff. So a central bank digital currency will help. I do not see the US going down the digital route, but I do see other countries doing it. And I could, we see El Salvador and Paraguay, but who knows? Maybe Russia might get a piece. So great questions. I love the way you guys think. And I love these questions because they make me think. So next question is from Philip P. What is your thinking process when identifying new long-term opportunities to invest in stocks, leaps, etc.? So I actually did a video on this, an exclusive for Patreon capitalists, and it includes my 12-step process on how I get into trades and what I do step by step to make sure I'm successful. And check out the Trade Desk video I put out on Friday for you guys. I think it was Friday. And that's it. So final question before I jump into the other questions that are out there. Final question from Gray K. If you had the opportunity to travel to Mars and back, would you take it? And he said, and of course, Gray said he certainly would take it. He'd love to go to Mars. For me, no, I'm not interested in that. I know what's on Mars. First of all, I don't like long flights, and that would take 2 years. That doesn't interest me. Second of all, flying is very bad for you. It ages you, bad for your skin. Third, I think Mars has toxic soil. You get a lot of isolation as well on that long flight. There's gravity field issues. There's a ton of radiation, and I don't know. I heard as well all the pubs are closed over there, so there's nothing nothing really for me. So I would skip it. I'd let somebody else go that wanted to be that, but that holds no interest from me. And I know there's a big race to get to Mars, but not interested. So big thank you for all the questions. I love this. My favorite time of the week, as I always say. Now I'm going to go and see what's happening on YouTube questions. Let me see. Exciting world cryptos. Think about your best direction for wealth. Collect Bitcoin as the future money to use, or trade Bitcoin to get lots of fiat now for getting assets in the present time. I believe everybody needs to accumulate and stack sats, or accumulate as much Bitcoin as they can. And then if you really want fiat, borrow against your Bitcoin holdings. But again, don't go above more than 25% collateralization of your loan, just to be careful. So looks like, again, we got some spammers here pushing some garbage. And I'm just going to kill them. Hold on a second. Whatever Baby Yoda, obviously something fake. And again, that stresses the importance of being very aware of all the scammers that are out there. Nothing but thieves that want your bag. So everybody just be ultra paranoid and be very careful. It'll pay big, big dividends. Sanjay Srivesta. James, NFT fever is in full flow. What was your best NFT bet? You believe the NFT field is exploding? Engine. Viva Los Animals. Thank you so much. Yes, the only NFT play I have beyond Ethereum, which is my huge one, I do have some Engine at a cost basis of around $1. I believe Engine will go back to about $1.50. I know some competitors are kind of stepping into the space, but I was very happy to see Engine continuing to develop out their platform. And I think it's a very powerful thing because I'm also a big fan of art and artists. And I think NFTs are a great way for them to monetize their skill in a fair and reasonable way. So yeah, very positive on Engine, especially with their recent developments. So yeah, go for it. Kiwi Robin, the capitalists need more monkeys. Yes, they do. Thank you for that, Robin, for everything you do as well within Patreon. And yeah, we were supposed to showcase a new animal today, but it's a little bit delayed. So stay tuned. We might have two next week. Kate Boss. Oh, Kate, how are you? You submitted a question before. My average Bitcoin price is about 49K. Still not full coin holder. Makes sense to sell now and buy at the bottom, or just keep adding up and hodl. We are 30K is, as far as I'm concerned, the bottom. We might have a wick back down to about 28 and change. Or worst case scenario, serious bad news, 26 and a half. So if you estimate the expected value or probabilities of Bitcoin going to 45,000 versus Bitcoin going below where we are now, the probability is far higher. We're talking 80% chance Bitcoin is going to go to 45 before it'll ever go near 28K, as far as I'm concerned. So there's your answer. What you should do now is try dollar cost, reduce your cost basis from 49K. So if you bought, say, half at 49 and you bought another half at 30, your new cost basis is under 40. And that would be great. So keep stacking. Again, the future is very, very bright. Angie Williams, can you get more into detail about borrowing against your Bitcoin? Yes. We are actually, I'm going to have an interview probably next week with the CEO of Celsius, which is probably one of my favorite lending vehicles. But I'm going to talk in very great detail about the risk that customers face by lending their crypto. One of the reasons I don't lend my crypto is because I'm not sure of all the risk, but I will do a deep dive and get that. We are also thinking about doing a crypto lending survey as well to be able to help you all navigate the best platform for whatever crypto you're trying to lend, in whichever jurisdiction you are, and what your goals are in terms of return, risk, security, ease of use, all that type of stuff. So stay tuned for that. That's coming too. So everybody wants to lend. And I'm most excited in the future about lending my crypto to be able to borrow against it to live. So I think everybody needs to be excited about that. But we will do a very detailed risk management profiling of the best lenders out there. Jonathan Payne, thank you so much for your question. What are your thoughts on dividend investment? Should I just strive to be a coin owner? Yeah, it's funny. One of the reasons I believe companies pay dividends because they don't have the management to be able to generate adequate returns on their own money. So they just kick out dividends. I have never, ever in my entire life of over 30 years of investing ever invested in dividend stock because I just think it's stupid. The reason you buy a stock is to kind of hope the management team knows exactly how to invest. So yeah, I would look at disruptive stocks and understand how to play options on them, like leaps and all the stuff that I do on a weekly basis, and also try be a whole coin owner. If anybody has the at least a chance of even getting half a coin, they should do that because that'll be so important for the future. And I know that one of the things as well, one of the negatives about this weak market that we've had over the past 6 or 8 weeks is within Patreon, we have spawned at least 350 new whole coiners because all of a sudden, people couldn't afford being a whole coiner at 60K, but they figured out a way to do it at 30K. So think of it as a half off sale. And go study the Pantera Capital presentation. They did one a couple of weeks ago, and it was very, very powerful, saying that we are at the 18% level to be able to acquire Bitcoin now over its whole history. Only 18% of the time is it as cheap as it is now. So hang on, I got more scammers here. Hide user in the channel. Sorry about these guys. But it's good. It's actually very good that the scammers are there because it reminds me to warn you all. I will never share a number. So just remember, they're everywhere. Be safe. So BK, Invest Answers, Sol or Algo? I'm heavy into Solana. I do have Algorand and I have been adding, but Solana is probably one of my biggest, Solana and Chainlink are kind of my biggest altcoin positions right now, after, of course, Ethereum. But Ethereum and Bitcoin make up 95% of my crypto portfolio. I have been adding a lot during these downturns. So yeah, BitMoon, thoughts on Chainlink? Chainlink is huge. They are a dominant player in the space as an oracle. And as the world of DeFi grows, they will grow too. So massively bullish on Chainlink. And I did a very detailed token analysis as well on them. And that's part of my retire on 50K video as well from a week or so ago. So sorry, I'm just killing these spammers. This baby Yoda, whoever this person is a thief as well. So kill them all. Let God sort them out, as they say. Where Pantera? Macromind. Google 11-year cycle Pantera and go to their Ask Investor page and you'll be able to pull it down. I'll share it in the comments below as well. Make sure you have it. Tano999. James, do you trade with your Bitcoin or just hodl? I just accumulate Bitcoin, but I do trade other assets like Bitcoin proxies, like MicroStrategy. I get in and out of some altcoins. For example, I bought into Binance, got rid of it. In fact, there's been a lot of questions about Binance. Somebody asked me to talk about it today as well. I made a video 2 or 3 weeks ago about is Binance in trouble, is the title of it. And I didn't expect the wheels to come off Binance so fast, but they've been kicked out of the UK, kicked out of Ontario, Canada. Now they're being banned in Japan. So Binance is, just be very careful out there. If you have holdings on Binance, think about transferring them off. If they're small, don't worry about it too much. But if you have like $200,000 or $500,000, just be very careful. I don't know what's going to happen, but I saw a lot of smoke 3 weeks ago, and now regulators are coming down hard on them. So something is going on behind the scenes. Check out my video. It's bad. So Baby Yoda, whoever they are, obviously the new scam coin. It's funny, a few weeks ago, I had tons of people slinging things like SafeMoon on the channel. So if, again, the rule of life that I've always used, if something is pushed very hard and sold very hard, be very suspicious. For example, I don't know, things like BlockFi. It's everywhere you go, it's being sold. So they spend a lot on sales and marketing. If something is not slung, it's good. Do you see Tesla advertisements? No. Did you ever see Amazon Prime being advertised? No. Uber? No. These good things kind of sell themselves. So just be careful of that, everybody. Do your own due diligence. So Bruce Lawrence, how about Cardano blowing up on staking this last week? 650K wallets. Love the content, pal. I'll keep doing you. I will. Yeah, there's a lot of grumblings about Cardano as well. I know they are trying to develop. One of the things, it was a very cool interview, a 5 hour interview with Lex Friedman, with Charles. And I loved the question from Lex. He said, is there anything that could derail, Cardano, be devil's advocate? And Charles was very honest in his response, and everybody should, I urge them all to check that out. But that gave me concern in the platform. I had the ability to buy Cardano at $1 a few days ago. I walked away from it. I had a limit order of like, I think it was $1.02 to buy Cardano that had been sitting there for a week or two. And I was watching the chart and it got close, and I went in and canceled the order because I don't know. I just don't know where it's going. But I do know as well, Cardano will be fine. But I think the valuation is quite high for what it is right now. And there's lots of other companies that do as much as Cardano does and perhaps more with a much lower valuation. So that's the way I look at things. Again, purely from an investor perspective. Okay. Guitar player Noah. VeChain is a great, but not going to take over Bitcoin or Ethereum. Yeah, there's a lot of people getting into the supply chain management business as well. So I think, as I always said, with my VeChain valuation, if they can go beyond supply chain management, then they have a chance of getting a much higher valuation. But now a lot of people are getting into that business too. So we'll see. John Stell, Binance isn't banned in the UK, but the regulators are looking at them. The watchdog are looking at them, and there's a whole bunch of negative news, and a lot of people are anxious. So we'll see. But just again, Binance is a core exchange. It's the biggest exchange in the world that most people use. I just don't know what's going on with Binance, or the Binance chain. So we'll see what happens. So let me see. Last question I'll take because I'm running out of steam. Trifusion1 question. This week, Celsius blocked New Year's registrations in the UK. Should existing British users be worried? I know that certain exchanges have actually put the kind of the throttle down on adding new customers. That's why KYC process is really, really long for certain exchanges, and maybe now for some lending platforms. But I think as well, when it comes to lending platforms, they have to manage their risk internally. So if they have a huge amount of borrowers or lenders coming from a certain geographic territory, sometimes they may need to throttle down the number of applications that they take. So we'll see what happens. So everybody be careful. Fun question. Guitar player Noah. Hey, James, do you play any instruments? I tried as a kid. I tried piano. I tried guitar, but I don't have any musical skills. So it wasn't very good. I always wanted to be a very good guitar player or a bass player, but didn't have the skills. Great question. Appreciate you, everybody. Thank you so much as well for all the donations. Have a happy Sunday. Take care of your families and be careful of the scammers, and manage risk very carefully. At the end of the day, the most important thing to do is really be careful in how you manage risk. There's another spammer there with a WhatsApp phone number. It's great that they're here, so we see. Thanks, Opsar. Thank you, everybody. Love having you here, and thank you for all the continued support. Be safe, all. Take care.